What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Leo coming to you guys with yet another video. Coming to you guys today with yet another reaction. Today we reacted to 10 awesome WWE matches nobody expected to be great. Now there's been a lot of times within the WWE or even other companies where some matches do get slept on, and sometimes, matches might not could be really good, but sometimes it may fall short on the wayside in the sense of maybe the build-up was bad, or maybe the competitors nobody really cared about. It's always one of those things that tends to happen, but they end up putting a great match in the grand scheme of things. So we're gonna go back down memory lane according to Cultaholic, and we're gonna watch 10 awesome WWE matches that they feel nobody expected to be great. So comment down below to let me know what is a match that you guys may have seen in your experiences as wrestling fans that you feel like nobody talks about, but you feel like the match was really, really good. Let me know in the comment section down below. But with that being said, let's get into it right here.
Sometimes you'll see a match on a WWE show, and depending on factors such as its placement on the card, who's in it, and what the stipulations are, you might have zero expectations for it. Sometimes, depending on those same factors or others, you might even expect it to be actively bad. How nice it is then when these matches, which have all the potential of being decidedly unmemorable or outright stinkers, turn out to be genuinely excellent. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 WWE matches nobody expected to be great. Join us. Number 10, Kalisto vs. Ryback on the Payback 2016 kickoff.
This was during the time where I felt like they were really pushing Kalisto. I feel like there was a point in time where I feel like they were trying to push Kalisto. They put the championship on. I think it's like a 3-time U.S. champion or something like that. So they definitely saw something, but I guess not anything past that, because I think he was NXT Tag Team Champion, and I believe he was U.S. Champion. I think that was really it.
Say it quietly, but Ryback and Kalisto had a decent series of matches over the WWE United States title in 2016, including on the WrestleMania 32 kickoff show. The Masked Man was, it's fair to say, rather inconsistent during his WWE run, capable of the spectacular as well as the sloppy when attempting his, good lucha things. The big guy, meanwhile, didn't seem like half the performer he had been when he burst onto the scene and became an unlikely main eventer just a few years prior. Evidently, the two men felt like they had a point to prove when they met on the kickoff portion of the Payback pay-per-view, with Ryback wearing a weightlifting belt bearing the phrase pre-show stopper. A unique clash of size and styles, the pair put on a compelling David vs. Goliath match that had a hot start and told its power against speed story very well. The challenger proved to be a solid base for the champ's high-flying offense, and they got the Chicago crowd right into it with some effective near falls before Kalisto hit the Salida del Sol to retain. Ryback's last WWE match ever, by the way, due to his official retirement from the business.
Yeah, this was his last show. The last pay-per-view he did before he decided to call it quits.
Can help.
Number 9, Chris Jericho vs. Jimmy Snuka, Roddy Piper, and Ricky Steamboat at WrestleMania 25.
I don't remember
Despite
this one.
doing some of the best work of his career during his long and highlight-laden 2008 feud with Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho found himself at a bit of a loose end by the time WrestleMania 25 rolled around. A mooted match with Mickey Rourke, based on Rourke's portrayal of Randy the Ram Robinson in the movie The Wrestler, was scrapped, leaving Y2J to muck about with a trio of past-their-prime legends in a 3-on-1 handicap elimination match. As if to underscore its lack of big-picture importance, it went on third. The match's opening minutes with Jericho.
This is the thing. I feel like it was okay, but I just feel like I felt bad for Jericho just because of everything that he has been doing up until this point, having good matches. He reinvented his character around this time where in 2008, I think that was like one of my favorite characters that he's done in quite some time, and I just feel like they didn't really capitalize on it in the sense of they could have found a bigger spot for him on the card. I think one match I think a lot of people would love to see if they would have had the 2008 version of Jericho have a match with The Undertaker, even though we were seeing, HBK and Undertaker have their feud going on for like the 2 WrestleManias and stuff like that. This would have been a good backup if they weren't going with that. I really agree that they could have really done more with Jericho. I'm not really a fan of what he's doing currently, but we can all agree that he's one of the guys that can always reinvent himself and come up with something new, fresh, and most times exciting.
slowing things way down for Piper and Snooker were what they were. But when Steamboat tagged in and unleashed some of his trademark arm drags and chops, there was a noticeable change in tone. After Jericho had eliminated first Superfly and then Hot Rod, fans got a proper look at just what the Dragon was still capable of in his mid-50s and over a decade after he had officially retired due to a serious back injury. Steamboat rolled back the years and had fans believing an upset was on the cards before succumbing to the Codebreaker. His performance here deservedly earned him a singles match with Jericho the following month at Backlash. Number 8, Sheamus versus The Big Show at Hell in a Cell 2012.
This was an underrated match. This was very underrated, even though this was around the time when they were competing for the World Championship. The World Heavyweight Championship, you know, it kind of somewhat is like it is now, where it's like, I wouldn't say it's a mid-card title or anything like that. I'm not gonna, you know, go to that extent. But it wasn't seen on the same level as the WWE Championship, let's just be honest. And the same thing is said back then, the same way it is now. But this was a good match for the World Championship. I mean, Sheamus, he won the World Championship at WrestleMania that year. Very controversial, but he held that World Championship from Mania till the fall, I believe, around this time when Hell in a Cell was. It was around the fall time, because I think they did it in October, so I mean, the match was really good, and then we end up having Big Show win the World Championship, and, you know, he started his little reign as the World Champion. I think that kind of swirled over till Del Rio winning it, or something along the lines of that, but y'all let me know. I think that's kind of how this ended up happening, where Sheamus, you know, beat, Sheamus lost the Big Show, and then Del Rio beat him for it, I think about a month or two later.
Big Show and Sheamus met for the Celtic Warriors World Heavyweight title at Hell in a Cell 2012. Few fans would have expected anything more than a surly slog between a veteran whose best days were behind him and an upstart who had not yet gained a reputation for producing banger after banger after banger. How pleasantly surprising then that it turned out to be the best bout of the night and one of the most memorable of the entire year. The world's largest athlete had his working boots on, that's for sure, putting in a commendable 20-minute shift that showed that there was still some gas left in the tank. Sheamus was also game, brawling his Irish heart out to counteract the giant's sheer size while bumping hard and selling well to make Show come across like a major threat. A gripping heavyweight hoss fight unfolded, with both men digging deep and pulling out all the stops until the challenger sidestepped a brogue kick and delivered a knockout punch to bag the gold. A simple, effective story told well. This is one of Big Show's best singles matches ever, and a feather in the cap for Sheamus too. Number 7, Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania 38.
I'm gonna be honest, I was never a fan of this feud. It was fun, I will admit that, but I was never a fan of the feud. Like, they could have really done something else with Sami. I think Sami was at one point Intercontinental Champion around this time, and he lost it, and he ended up going into this feud with Johnny Knoxville. I'm gonna be honest, I was never a fan of the feud. Yes, the match was kind of, you know, fun, I guess, and, you know, a little weird, but it's not my thing.
8 Night 2. Whenever celebrities get involved in wrestling, there's always the fear that they're just there for either an easy payday or to plug something before getting the hell out of the ring as quickly as possible. Thankfully, actor and all-round jackass Johnny Knoxville was more than game during his very entertaining feud with Sami Zayn, which led to an Anything Goes match on Night 2 of WrestleMania 38. Both men were truly committed to making this better than it had any right to be, battering each other with weapons as Knoxville took a table bump early on. A bunch of the other jackass lads got involved, with Chris Party Boy Pontius getting his ass out and his ass handed to him before Wee Man brought the house down with a scoop slam that knocked Hogan's on Andre at WrestleMania 3 down to number 2 on my all-time list. Knoxville's wacky ways of avoiding defeat were a riot, from setting off turnbuckle pyro to a bowling ball to the bollocks, while Zayn deserves much credit for taking it all and selling it expertly, including a big bump through a table covered in mousetraps. The match was simply a ton of fun and perfect for what it was. Number 6, Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley at Crown Jewel 2021. At SummerSlam 2021, Bobby Lashley beat Goldberg in a bitterly disappointing WWE title match with a terrible finish as the referee called for the bell when it was deemed that Goldberg couldn't continue due to an injured knee. It was the latest in another lackluster offering from the former WCW World Champion, whose second part-time WWE run had rapidly run out of steam. When the two men met in a no-holds-barred Falls Count Anywhere rematch at Crown Jewel, another dud seemed more likely than not. However, the stipulation ended up playing right into their hands as they were able to use all the smoke and mirrors available to disguise their shortcomings and put on an exciting and entertaining battle of the monsters. They broke tables and ringside barriers in a simple yet effective match that made Goldberg look like Goldberg once again as he took out the rest of the Hurt Business and got the upper hand on Lashley before spearing him off the ramp to his doom.
That was a cool
Goldberg's
spot.
best WWE match since his cracker with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 33 and more than likely his last great WWE match ever. Please prove me wrong, Gunther. Number 5, WeeLC on the Extreme Rules 2014 kickoff. There's something to be said for committing to the bit, which is what everyone did when WWE presented a WeeLC match on the Extreme Rules 2014 kickoff.
I briefly remember this. I think it was 3MB, and then they had like Hornswoggle, and then I think it was Los Matadores and Torito. I will be honest, that was a really good match. I mean, even though it was on the kickoff show, but it was still a good match to kind of get the crowd and, riled up and stuff like that and get them ready for the show. So I could see what they were going for there.
Kickoff show. A scaled-down version of TLC pitting Hornswoggle against El Torito, the two wrestlers had not only pint-sized tables, ladders, and chairs to play with, but WWE even brought in a mini referee, as well as mini announcers, timekeeper, and ring announcer for the occasion. What could have been a 5-minute affair played entirely for laughs was in fact a riotous and very competitive match that earned the two combatants a standing ovation when they returned through the curtain afterwards. Hornswoggle has spoken about how everyone involved in the presentation, from he and Torito to the members of 3MB and Los Matadores, as well as the producers tasked with putting it together, went into it with the mindset that they were going to make it truly memorable as a way of sticking it to WWE management. Well, you know what? They succeeded, putting on a match that was every bit as entertaining, if not more so, than anything on the main pay-per-view card.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
World's a war.
That is definitely true. That is definitely true.
Team, suit up.
Number 4, Eddie Guerrero versus JBL at Judgment Day 2004. With Kurt Angle and The Big Show injured, Brock Lesnar off chasing an NFL pipe dream, and the recently returned Undertaker firmly entrenched in the babyface camp, SmackDown had a real lack of top-level heels for WWE Champion Eddie Guerrero to work with in the wake of WrestleMania 20. The solution was to turn babyface beer-drinking mid-card tag teamer Bradshaw into JBL, the heel stock market whiz who tried to patrol the US.
I will always say that JBL is probably one of the greatest heels in WWE history. Like, he went from a tag team guy and he broke away and broke the mold completely of being just a tag team guy to being a legit main eventer, but being a top heel on top of that. And this was, like he said, this was during a time where there was a lot of stars either on Raw or on injury leave. So SmackDown was left without a void of a top heel, and they found a hidden gem in JBL. And he changed everything. I feel like he changed the business to an extent when it came to being what a heel is. So I think this feud between him and Eddie Guerrero is a feud that does not get talked about a lot, for sure.
Mexico border in his spare time. Few bought John Bradshaw Layfield as a credible main eventer initially, and it's likely that had his Judgment Day headliner with Eddie not worked, JBL might have been a one-and-done challenger. Luckily for him, the match far exceeded people's relatively low expectations. It helped that Latino Heat saw it as his mission to bring JBL to his level and worked hard to make him look like he belonged. The massive blade job Guerrero did after being cracked with a chair also helped give the match a legitimate sense of drama and uncertainty, not to mention a visual that lingered long in the memory. An epic bloodbath the likes of which you will rarely see, it legitimized JBL as a main event player and set him on his path to the WWE title. Number 3, Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania 30.
This match right here was really good. Honestly, I know we got Shane McMahon through a couple of times throughout this run, but this right here is Shane McMahon's best match right here. Him and AJ Styles. I think this was the first match on the main card, if I'm not mistaken. These two tore the house down. These two legit tore the house down. The story that they were building up, where AJ was going against the authority figure. He felt like, Shane was kind of screwing him out of opportunities. AJ was coming up short in these different matches that would qualify him for the WWE title. He technically won, but then lost it to Randy. So he was very upset, and he took his frustration out, and then just proceeded to lead into one of the best matches for WrestleMania 33. So definitely one of my favorite matches.
3.
Not even just match of the pay-per-view, but probably one of my favorite matches of 2017 in general.
Fans were thrilled when Shane McMahon returned to WWE in early 2016, almost 7 years after he had last appeared on TV. And fans were excited about the prospect of his Hell in a Cell showdown against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 32 as well. Unfortunately, the match was a bit meh.
Yeah,
it had Shano's requisite big bump and one or two other notable moments, but it was overly long and a bit sluggish. So, heading into Shane's next big singles match against AJ Styles at the next Mania, fans weren't expecting too much. The Phenomenal One was a world-class wrestler, yes, but he wasn't a miracle worker, was he? Well, actually, maybe he is, because he led Shane to arguably the best bout of his second in-ring run. Kicking off the Showcase of the Immortals, McMahon and Styles had a show-stealing outing that was far better than anyone expected it to be. Highlights included Shane pulling out the coast-to-coast and a shooting star press, as well as countering a 450 splash into a triangle choke. AJ held the whole thing together on his way to picking up the win, and it's perversely funny that he managed to have a better Mania match here than he did with Chris Jericho, Shinsuke Nakamura, Randy Orton, or Edge. Number 2, Roman Reigns vs. The Big Show at Extreme Rules 2015. Operation Get the Big Dog Over had not been a rousing success heading into Extreme Rules 2015. Roman Reigns continued to face fan backlash due to his mega push and had failed to dethrone Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31 thanks to Seth Rollins. So how could a last man standing match with The Big Show, who had won the second annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on the Mania pre-show, possibly help the situation? Well, amazingly enough, they had not just a thoroughly enjoyable knockdown drag-out brawl, but the best match of the entire night. Show was the effective bully, swatting away Roman's attempts at offense and irking fans by getting rid of the weaponry his opponent tried to inject in proceedings. He couldn't do it forever, of course, and Reigns began to use some of the plunder, putting Show through a table with a Samoan drop. More wood was broken when the big dog took a big chokeslam from the inside of the ring to the outside through 2 tables, while Show missed a spear through one that was propped up in the corner. As the match wore on and each man continued to beat the count, there was a genuine sense that either one could win it, with Roman ultimately prevailing thanks to an awesome running spear through the announce desk. Lovely stuff. Number 1, Trish Stratus vs. Stephanie McMahon at No Way Out 2001. Trish Stratus eventually developed into a Hall of Famer, widely acknowledged as one of WWE's best ever female stars, but during her first couple of years with the company, she was looked at as a former fitness model who might make a decent manager one day. When she was booked against Stephanie McMahon, a special occasions wrestler who wasn't quite the confident big match.
And that's kind of crazy. Like, when she came in, people didn't really see her for what she ended up being, which was one of the greatest women to ever grace a WWE ring. Like, the first few years, people just saw her as just eye candy or just a manager. Nobody saw past that, and she broke the mold of that by having this match that she did end up having with Stephanie. And it pretty much gave the fans like new eyes into now they see her in a different light than they may have seen her before for the most part. So I think it really did what it needed to do, and that's help elevate Trish Stratus to where she ended up becoming one of the greatest to ever do it.
Performer she would later turn into, most would have settled for competent, and few would have predicted a genuinely gratifying and well-worked grudge match. Look, it's no mat-based classic. I don't think Gotch and Hackenschmidt ever pulled down the other one's pants and gave them a spanking, but it was exactly what the personal feud they were in the middle of dictated that it should be. They were laying them in as they brawled in and out of the ring and took some impressive bumps for 2 non-wrestlers in what was Trish's most notable and longest singles match to that point. It turned into a bit of a catfight right before William Regal made his decisive interference, but before then it was a miraculously good showing from both and a preview of great things to come from both.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The match was really good. It helped elevate Trish Stratus in the grand scheme of things. Stephanie had a good showing in the match too, so you cannot be mad at that at all. But comment down below, like I said, what match do you guys deem, or in your opinion, or what are some matches that are on here that maybe you feel nobody really talks about or give the credit to, but you feel like was a really good match nonetheless? Let me know in the comment section down below, and we'll have a discussion about it like we always do. But with that being said, hope everyone has a great day, great rest of your week. Super kick that like button. Helps my channel get pushed across the platform. Superman punch that post notification button and speed the subscribe button. Takes 3 seconds out of the day. There are 3 things for me. Helps in the progression of my channel as well. But with that being said, hope everyone has a great day, great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys in the next video.